Raymond I ascended to the kingship of Aquitaine in Jerusalem in February 1216 and immediately took steps to ingratiate himself with his vassals, divesting himself of his father's holdings in Foix, Cornwall, and Vannes. On the advice of his council, Raymond considered taking a wife, but put them off for a while, seeing no advantageous matches. Bored of administration, at the first opportunity he took to the hunt, establishing himself as an eager but ruthless hunter. It is rumored that when game was scarce, he hunted peasant children. While on the hunt, word came to him that his mother had passed of illness. The generation of his father was now truly past. As he was never close to her, he ordered yet another grand hunt, and then proclaimed a Yuletide feast to celebrate his new kingship while his vassals put down a rebellion in Brittany. Pestered by his steward, Raymond granted the Prince-Bishopric of Agen, the post he had held so briefly, to Jocelyn, the 7-year-old third son of the Count of Carcassonne. Hearing now that the King of Denmark's inheritance was in jeopardy, and his daughter young, brilliant, and unwed, Raymond married Princess Lise in April 1217, pocketing a tidy sum in wedding presents which he put to immediate work plotting to kill the infant Prince Olaf, her younger brother. It was not hard to find willing participants, but Olaf proved difficult to kill, finally succumbing on the third attempt in November 1218. Raymond's plot being concluded, he turned to Aquitaine's old enemy France, declaring war on King Colban I for Duke Arnaud's claim on the county of Tours. As the levies of Aquitaine assembled to do war with the Scots King of France, Raymond gave a thought to Queen Lise. Once she ascended to the throne of Denmark, how would he be able to prevent her from being killed by the same treacherous vassals who found it easy to smother a 2-year-old boy? While Raymond's men beat upon the strong places of France in the autumn of 1220, word came that Queen Lise had been blessed with child, and in March 1221, after a hard winter campaign, Raymond II was born. By August 1221, after a full year of wringing gold from King Colban's vassals and burghers, Raymond sent word that he had had enough, and the county of Tours came under Aquitanian jurisdiction. Taking stock of the situation in Denmark and the possibility that King Anders might choose to remedy his inheritance prospects, Raymond took positive action to secure that country for the de Poitou dynasty in 1222. As with other such murderous schemes in the land of Hamlet, willing conspirators were easy to find, and King Anders lay dead of poisoned wine before the year was out. Queen Lise, none the wiser, or perhaps even knowing of Raymond's killing her father, gave him a second son, Bertrand, in 1223. In 1224, hoping to bring all of Brittany under Aquitanian control, Raymond crushed the tiny host of Count Ealdred of Lyon. Ealdred fought valiantly, but hopelessly, surrendering at last after 6 months of war. In 1225, Raymond considered war with England, but hearing disturbing news from the east, decided against it. That same summer, a third son, John, was born, firmly securing the male line of the de Poitou dynasty in this generation. Around that same time, a portent of what was to come arrived in the form of an invitation to war on Venice and the depraved Doge Sinibaldo, which Raymond refused. A few months later, while putting down a revolt in Jerusalem, Raymond received new word regarding Venice. He would not refuse the call of Pope Sixtus IV, who declared a crusade to recover Sicily from Sinibaldo's heretical hands, and by May 1226 stood with his host in Reggio, recognized as a crusader and protector of the faith. War cruel and sharp followed, with Aquitanian soldiery always pushing hard on Sinibaldo's castles and towns. By June 1226, Raymond had brought some 25,000 men to Sicily, and by August laid siege in western Sicily with nearly 40,000 men, breaking down Alcarno, Mazzara, Trapani, and the trade post of Trapani in the space of a week. By October, with no less than 80,000 men at arms trampling Sicily down, Sinibaldo acceded to the Pope's demands that he surrender his holdings in the Kingdom of Sicily, and Raymond was crowned King of Sicily on the 30th of October, 1226. Wanting to consolidate Sicily as rapidly as possible, Raymond declared war on Count Oresti of Bari in December 1226, but the messenger did not arrive, and Raymond was forced to recall his men and declare war again in February 1227. By April 1227, however, Raimond realized he had made a grave error in retaining the titles granted to him by the Pope, and Aquitaine's vassals, great and small, seethed with anger at him. The war was called off, but Raimond was able by June 1227 to attempt a third time for Bari, this time declaring war on Sinibaldo the Accursed. Before Raimond could bring that war to a successful conclusion, Doge Sinibaldo died under suspicious circumstances, and it was war again with Count Orestes, who surrendered Bari in April 1228. Raimond followed this conquest with wars for Brundisian and Reggio, both added to Aquitanian Sicily by autumn 1228. Unable to justly complete the subjugation of Calabria, Raimond launched a plot to kill Duke Osbern II on Christmas Day 1228. Osbern, however, proved difficult to kill, and 1229 passed uneventfully, Raimond consolidating his power in Sicily and moving the capital of Aquitaine to Messina. He hopes soon to be able to obtain Catanzaro, Taranto, Salerno, and Amalfi, the remaining counties of Sicily, but understands that he may be forced to take extraordinary steps to achieve that with any sort of haste. Though slow in the execution, King Raimond was able to effect the death of Duke Osbern in the summer of 1231. Within weeks, the levies of Aquitanian Sicily poured into Catanzaro, overcoming Countess Elisande's token forces and compelling her surrender in January 1232. During this short campaign, another son, Henri, was born to Raimond and Lise. Seeing that the Republic of Pisa was engaged in a war, Raimond decided to declare war for Taranto in 1232. Unable to effectively mount a defense, the serene Doge Arsenio the Cruel was forced to accommodate Aquitaine's demands after only 9 months of one-sided war. In the east, the weakened Muslim world declared jihad for Armenia in April 1233, but the Byzantine Empire, yet strong, crushed the Muslim hosts and Caliph Ismail was forced to call it off in February 1234. Meanwhile, Raimond granted bishoprics in Aquitanian Outremer to Bertrand and John, eliminating the risk of a fractured inheritance for Raimond II. In order to obtain a de jure claim on the county of Rennes, Raimond created the Duchy of Brittany, granting it to Count Milo of Carcassonne. Worried at the prospect of young Raimond II being thrust into the kingship of Denmark and choosing his wife poorly, Raimond secured a betrothal to the gifted Ermengarde Ottakarin in 1234. Raimond reached adulthood in March 1237. Acceptably competent and a gifted strategist, he nonetheless has about him a slack-jawed appearance doubtless coming from his mother's side. While Raimond oversaw the construction of improvements, court chaplain Bishop Albrecht of La Salve sent word that Aquitanian Outremer had been largely won over for the cross. This work of 70 years done, he was recalled to Messina. In April 1238, Raimond decided to assassinate Serene Doge Ugo II of Pisa so that he could declare war for Salerno. The campaign was costly and protracted, but on the fourth attempt, Ugo fell to the assassin's blade. Serene Doge Ugo's blood not even congealed, a declaration of war was thrown at the feet of Serene Doge Umberto, and a stout war commenced through the fall of 1238. Meanwhile, Raimond's chancellor secured a claim to Évreux in English Normandy. Not wishing to drag the war on longer than necessary, Raimond laid demands before Pisa in February 1239, which were accepted. Having claims on Mortain and Évreux, Raimond planned a feast to improve his standing with his vassals as the decade closed out. Can John wrest English Normandy from King Ealdmund the Great? In 1240, King Raimond pursued his war for Normandy, pressuring the boy king Randolph I for his claims. After a series of sieges in Mortain, Évreux, and Rouen, Randolph chose to surrender Mortain and Évreux on the 1st of April 1241. That war concluded, Raimond warred upon the breakaway county of Rennes, subjugating the boy Earl Fulk rather handily by August 1241. King Raimond, desirous of seeing members of his dynasty with landed title, granted Mortain to Raimond Berenguer and Évreux to Giordano de Poitou in November 1241. In an effort to better organize the war-fighting capacity of the Kingdom of Aquitaine, and also for the increase of the prestige of the de Poitou dynasty, Raimond created the duchies of Benevento, Calabria, Toulouse, Jerusalem, Apulia, and Bourbon in December of 1241 and created 6 new dukes. Feeling that Ermengarde Otakaran might soon grow too old to reliably provide children to Prince Raimond, King Raimond permitted his son to marry at long last, if only to prevent bastards from populating the royal castle. That same year, Raimond imprisoned Charles, Duke of Navarre and Gascogne, for attempting to fabricate a claim on the kingdom of Aquitaine. In 1244, the nobles of Aquitaine took matters into their own hands and conspired to see Gascogne granted to a new ruler, one with less ambition than the de Béarn dynasty had become infamous for. Meanwhile, the always busy Chancellor of Aquitaine forged a claim upon the French county of Vendôme, for the control of which Aquitaine went to war with Orléans in January 1245, securing it after 5 months of pleasant enough siege, then granting it to a kinsman, Guitart de Poitou, in August 1245. Never one to be gentle in dealing with threats, in 1246 King Raimond killed Duke Arnaud I of Auvergne in order to prevent him from fabricating a claim on the kingdom of Aquitaine. In 1247 an unexpected turn of events occurred. 5 years after marrying Raimond II, and still without child, Ermengarde Otakaran approached King Raimond with an arrangement that he found impossible to refuse, Queen Lise having been in Denmark for many years. 9 months later, Raimond II proudly proclaimed the birth of his son, Raimond III, to the court of Aquitaine, while Ermengarde and King Raimond smiled at each other behind his back. In 1248, Chancellor Gaston reported the conclusion of a majestic work of forgery, fraud, and traducement, opening the possibility of a massive increase in Aquitaine's holdings at the expense of France. Raimond went to war with King Ranald immediately for the Duchy of Orléans, burning castles and crushing the French host mercilessly over the next year, forcing Ranald to the humiliating surrender of 3 counties to Aquitaine in 1249. Ever whimsical in such matters, Raimond granted the county of Blois and the Duchy of Orléans to a 15-year-old boy he had never met, merely because he was a distant relative. Raimond celebrated his victories on the battlefield and the boudoir with a grand hunt, and, bold there as always, faced down a pack of wolves without regard to his personal safety, then slaked his lust upon his son's wife, making sure that he was busy on the honorable chore of providing meat for the year's Yuletide feast. As the echoes of raucous celebration died in Raimond's hall in the spring of 1250, and the steward washed the vomit from his shoes, fanciful tales of strangely accoutred savages from across the sea reached Raimond, along with the threat that they would return to visit a terrible reckoning upon the lords of Christendom. King Raimond, not easily swayed by such tales, gave no thought to them and turned his thoughts instead to how he would order his kingdom in the waning years of his life. In 1250, ignoring these strange rumors, Raimond set about pursuing his new love of cavalry, building jousting lists across Aquitaine and instructing the marshal to focus on mounted combat. Meanwhile, his love affair with Ermengarde only grew stronger, and in the summer of 1251 she reported that she was with her father-in-law's child again, giving birth to a second son, Renaud, who King Raimond's son took to be his own. In the summer of 1252, the land being peaceful, and King Raimond being desirous of seeing the results of his recent equestrian pursuits, a grand tournament was held. This resulted in some unfortunate deaths among the less stout gentry. King Raimond, for his part, swept the field, proving himself at the age of 57 to be the strongest fighting man in Aquitaine. In the summer of 1253, avoiding Queen Lise as he had become wont, King Raimond arranged a ball, during which he put child in Ermengarde's belly a 3rd time. Almost immediately after, a hue and cry that a horde of hideous demon-worshipping marauders had arrived in the Bretagne coast reached Raimond's ears in Messina. The levies of Aquitaine were roused, with instructions to assemble in Auvergne and await reinforcement, but by November it had become clear that these supposed marauders were the ravings of frightened fools or opportunists, and the levies were sent home. In 1254, Ermengarde gave birth to a daughter by King Raimond, who, like the boys preceding her, were accepted as Prince Raimond's own. It was about at this time that King Raimond began thinking his son a fool. Later that same year, King Raimond undertook to teach his son Raimond as a possible heir, and the boy took to the lessons hungrily, learning the art of skilled dissemblage naturally, and while he did not adopt temperation as eagerly, at least he did not earn a reputation for vile gluttony. While Raimond tutored young Raimond, news came to his ears of a crusade for Hungary against the vile Kagan Klagagan of the Golden Horde. Not eager to participate, King Raimond nonetheless did his duty and added his name to the roll of crusaders, while a club-footed daughter, Mabila, was announced to the world as the fourth child of Prince Raimond and Ermengarde. King Raimond's disappointment in his heir was balanced by the joy of seeing his younger son wax kind as he accompanied his granddad on crusade. Raimond reached Hungary in January 1258, but hearing of a huge Mongol host approaching, diverted south to avoid crushing defeat. By summer, however, Raimond was able to aid in the siege of Sorna, but his anger upon seeing the disorganized state of the Christian host sat sore with him, and he lost his heart of kindness. Before long, the Mongol host attempted to come to grips with Aquitaine's small host, and Raimond decided that discretion being the better part of valor, it was better to depart the seat of war and return to his homelands in Messina. Embittered by being apart from Ermengarde, and knowing that Hungary must necessarily remain in Mongol hands, Raimond reacted violently to the plotting of his kinsmen Count Jacme and Count Milo, sentencing them to death at the hands of assassins in the winter of 1258. These uncharacteristic direct actions, however, took their toll on the aging king, and by spring 1259 worry creased his brow. But King Raimond found joy in the raising of his secret son, who rather unlike his father developed a streak of bravery. Winter 1259 found King Raimond troubled about how to proceed. His son, Prince Raimond, while competent enough, had never impressed him, and his continued blindness as regards his children marked him as a fool. Alright, 3 March 1260. What do we have here? We can create the Duchy of Sicily and the Duchy of Sinai. I will create the Duchy of Sinai, and then I will give it to the Count of Sinai by increasing some prestige. Crusade is not going well. The rebellion here. I'm in charge of that. I don't care to go up there and fight. Let's appoint him there. And let's put Prince Raimond in charge of this. And have him go ahead and fight there. What sort of factions do we have? Ah, yes, Duke Emmanuel. Let's grant you an honorary title. And let's send you a gift. And you, let's go ahead and give you some money. Let's see whether these factions go away. Son is pretty unhappy with me. And I don't really like him either, to be honest with you. It's pretty good, but I don't like this portrait, and I don't like his sort of Danish ways. Let's see, what will benefit? Military advances benefits. Well, speaking of military advances, let's get some better siege equipment. Let's increase castle infrastructure. I admit, I don't really like him very much. His wife has been of very excellent service, but he was damn near worthless. Produced a daughter very far into his marriage. Club-footed daughter. That Danish look to her. I should like very much to hold a feast this fall, but I don't know if I will be able to. How is Raimond coming along here? He's doing pretty well. How's Raimon's other vassals? Let's send her a gift. And let's send him a gift. Please, sir, end your plot. And him. Let's send him a gift. And let's grant him an honorary title. What other vassals are not doing well? Count of Beirut? Send him a gift. And give him an honorary title. Duke of Ultra-Jourdain? I send you a gift? Yes. Oh, very well. I think that that's quite good enough. Duke of Malric, good job. Have a gift. Become my master of the horse. Congratulations. Speed things up a little bit. And I don't need that notification. I will not create the Duchy of Sicily. So right now I'm interested in Rouen, and I'm interested in getting the rest of Normandy. Excellent, that's a good trait. Oh, I will promise to arrange it. You'll see if anything comes of it. Very curious about this. He has had no plot. Very good, Rhino. Very good. How is my lover doing? Celibate. Ah, very good. Very good. Life isn't so bad. You should be less depressed as well. No intrigues that I am concerned with.
Son, there comes a time when a man must do what a man must do. Very good, Raymond. Now, change things up a bit now. So Raymond de Poitou is now my heir. Raymond II was too old. Was too old. And too grasping. He delved too deep and too greedily. Crusade for Hungary has failed. Let us look into this. It is no surprise that the crusade was lost, with the Golden Horde having such a gigantic army. How does the Pope think of me? Quite well. I need a little help, Pope. Will you please help me out? Can I send you a gift? No! That's way too much money. Oh, excellent. Excellent. Well, you must have... Your ears must have been burning. I thank you. I would like very much to have a daughter now, I suppose. And Rhino coming along nicely. How's Henri doing? Decently enough. What about Bertrand? Also just fine. Unfortunately, I can't get him married. Young Mabila, who shall educate you? Very good. Let me take a look at my nobles. Who among them are unhappy? Duke Leon of Toulouse. Now, is the Duchy of Toulouse, the county, and... okay, 2 counties. Yes, interesting. Strong claims there. Fine, back to Mabila. Let's get you educated. I do not want to have you educated by somebody ambitious. I don't need that. How about Faidina? Geeg. Let's see who this fellow is. Just rather a middling sort of fellow. Count Jacopo of Taranto. Alright, let's investigate this. So he wants Mayor Gabriel of Toronto to become his vassal. Okay. That would make some sense. Mayor Gabriel. I could give him a claim on Count Jacopo. I like my other vassal better. Got a fair amount of disease breaking out. Very good, very good. Is there anybody that I can get you betrothed to? Oh, what about the ladies of rank? Duchess of Ferrara. Shall we marry for the title? Let us do so. Well. We shall see how this comes along. Excellent. Excellent. Very good. Let us have a grand hunt. Oh, we have the County of Orleans, the County of Blois, and the County of Sens. Do you? Powerful fellow. Excellent. Raimond the Apostle, staying stout deep into his life. And Raimond came along quite nicely. Came along quite nicely. Good. Good. Go out and hunt the boars yourself, young man. Very good. Now, strong claim on the County of Rouen. Oh, and it's independent. Just gather all those up right there. Let's disband those. That one as well. And let's disband these, as too far away from the seat of war, and it's too small a battle for them to be needed. Oh well. Oh, well, at least I get to have my feast. Baron Pagano. Let's put you in Vexin. And very good. Let's get a new Chancellor in. And let's continue your work there. Now, Queen Marie. Interesting. The Dubois dynasty is set to inherit France. French dynasty being in control of France, probably for the best. Let's go ahead and attempt to get this county again. I'll go ahead and disband these forces. And also these forces over here. So as not to anger my vassals unnecessarily. Okay, let's gather up these forces in good order. He is heading to Chartres. Let us also head to Chartres. Count Arnaud is asking us to deal with an assassination attempt inside our realm. Who is he? He is the Count of Beirut, the Count of Madaba, and the Baron of Beit Kafia. Perpetrator is Duke Jaspert of Berry, who has the Duchy of Berry and the County of Bourges. I could put him in jail. Off to the jail with you. Now, my prisoners. Jaspert. Will you ransom yourself out? I have a lot of plots in. Please end your plot. You need no more power.
King Raimond the Apostle succumbed peacefully to old age on the 30th of August, 1264, having ruled for nearly 50 years, during which he added to Aquitaine half of English Normandy, the entirety of the Duchy of Orléans, and the Kingdom of Sicily. 22 counties in all. Raimond warred with England, France, Venice, Pisa, and the Holy Roman Empire. Married a princess of Denmark, then killed her younger brother and her father, then later sired 3 children by his son's wife. During all of this time, Raimond never shirked a feast or hunt, daring death by overindulgence in drink, bear's claw, or boar's tusk more times than could be easily counted. He slew king, duke, and count with impunity, even killing his own son on the suspicion that he might be plotting the same for him, then divorced the Queen of Denmark and took his son's wife as his own. He leaves a mighty kingdom to his young son, Raimond II, having lived richly indeed.